I quit my job at Mormon Stories. I talk about whatever I want to talk about, so let's talk about that. I put this out on Twitter, pause to read. Yes, I feel more myself. I feel happier working for myself and making the content that I want to make for the ex-Mormon faith crisis crowd of peoples of the world. So I'm going to be getting back into doing my Nuancehoe YouTube channel, my brand new Patreon. And I think that's what's best for my mental health and my family and what's best for me as a comedian. So the people who are asking how I'm doing, I am really doing so well. Like, I am beyond happy with this decision, although there is a lot that I'm going to miss. So I cannot say that I have an ounce of regret, like in the I should have done this, so what are my family's worries now? No, as I think I can explain right now, like, I feel more myself. I know better what talents I have. I know my brain. I know my unwavering values. Like, and most of all, I know that I am loved and I have the most amazing friends. And I wish that I could show my little, like, 17-year-old self crying alone in her bedroom because she thought that she was cool, but she was all right, but nobody liked her. I wish I could just travel in a time machine and show her, like, girl, holy shit, you're going to feel unstoppable when you are 33. With just, like, all of the love and friendship and support that I have from the universe. I would tell that girl a lot of things, but obviously that you're in a cult and get out right now, but, or give it time. I don't know. Anyway, Mormon Stories. It's so much fun. I came on last May. Drew Manning was my first interview. It was so much fun. And it is so rewarding. And John gave me an amazing opportunity. And he believed in me when I didn't believe it myself. Like, it's so good in so many ways. And so that's just up front, first and foremost, a big thank you to John and the donors and the viewers. It's been amazing. So I launched my Patreon this week. And one of the first messages I got was from somebody who said that they were a fan of the podcast, but they could tell that I was always going to need more latitude. And that was just so kind. And so if you're wondering what's up, that's the main issue. Like, it is such taxing work. Can anyone really look at what I did for Mormon Stories? And from the multitude of episodes a week, many of them several hours long, many of them live with my big mouth, constantly saying things that I probably shouldn't, riddled with anxiety that I could say something that could get me in trouble with Mormons or ex-Mormons or my boss, John, like at any second, in a trauma space with criticisms flying every which way all the time about how what I'm doing, I should be doing better, and just never having the bandwidth to do anything else, and then collapse from exhaustion. Can anyone really look at that recipe and be like, tastes good to me? And then there's the money component to it, like, obviously, as I'm sure you can guess, like, you can't pay me enough for that headache at the end of the day. So many good things, but is it a good life? Maybe if it was on my terms. Maybe if it wasn't just John's baby. Maybe it was my baby. Maybe it was on my terms. But do I want to spend my life that way? I have other love and joy and other things that I could do and grow on my terms and other talents than try to squeeze myself in a box that's not meant for me. And what is that box? It's like John and I are best friends and we're like family, but like when it comes to making content, being on air that much, just think about John and the Mormon Stories brand that he's built, which is incredible, by the way. Please support them. John's approach to comedy. Comedy is near and dear to my heart. His approach to a lot of things that are just the product of him. And let me just say, like, everybody is the product of their genetics and their conditioning and their traumas. And his approach to him being a Gen X man and his approach to so many of those various things, they are what they are. And I'm a millennial atheist who was raised with the internet and meme culture. And no matter how much like water and oil you put in a bottle and shake it together, it only looks cohesive when you put energy into shaking it. So like eventually you have to stop putting energy into that and it separates naturally. It's absolutely nothing personal. Oil and water just need to separate. That's how it is. And I hope that I'll always be friends with John. But I don't think that any of this is anything about the criticism of me working for John. I genuinely think the fans have been amazing. The only criticisms that maybe would get to me from time to time are like genuine fans of the podcast who listened to before and then after I joined gave me a shot, genuinely think that I made the podcast worse and less appealing. Those have got to be less than 10%, hopefully less than 1% overall, like the feedback. People said that I added a lot. People who didn't listen before started listening because of me, and that probably like is the number one comment that I would get in my DMs or from people when I'm walking around Target. And I think that John and I made a really good show, and I'm really proud of it. I stayed way longer than I should have in hindsight, and I beat my head against a wall because of all the good that I felt like we were doing and we have done, and all of the overwhelming support. And I pushed myself and ignored a lot of signals that my body was giving me. If you remember, like back in October, I was having all these throat problems, and then you push yourself enough, and then you get taken in an ambulance at 4 a.m. to the ER. And then 4 days later, I'm hosting Thrive Day for Women with 800 people on 3 hours of sleep. I basically like am an addict of people being like, I'm an addict for being proud of myself for doing things that other people wouldn't do, because they would be smart enough to recognize it unhealthy. And I'm like, not me. I'm just an idiot who likes to go, no, I'll just keep going until I have a mental breakdown. Which happened during the Meldrum episode. Long story short with that, anyone who watched that episode, the Heartland episode, with He Who Shall Not Be Named, anyone who attempted to watch it, basically, it's a tough one to get through, to get more than a minute through, wouldn't be surprised that that episode was my last. It broke me. It broke my lines of communication with John. I'm missing for a long section of the middle of it because I was having a panic attack in the back corner with Jen for a few reasons. And I just felt like I want to do this. I want to do this interview. I want to ask pointed questions to a man. Let's just say a man who my parents respect and love more than me. I want to do this. I'm shaking, but I want to do this. I have something to offer here. To not feeling like I have anything to offer. Then to, oh no. I just delivered the most calm, articulate language I can as to why the church is not healthy for a lot of people, to a man who just responded with comparing gay people to people who diddle kids and screw goats. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. Okay. And I continued to feel that way as I got in the car and drove home and screamed and cried and punched everything in the car as I sped through a school zone and got a ticket in a full mental breakdown mode. And I thought, I don't want or have to do this. So I pulled myself together that day, enough to do Mormonism Live, which is another podcast that I was honored to be a guest on that evening, just like I video called it in from my bedroom with Bill Reel and Radio Free Mormon, two other podcasting friends of mine. Something that I had planned for 6 weeks, something I was looking forward to, but was kind of a mess on, but I still had a good time, I thought. And I want to point people to that episode for more of an explanation of that day, and also maybe like swing the comments my way a bit. Cause like there's recording a podcast with these guys. I'm like mid-mental breakdown in the podcast, and the comments are like, Carah, this wasn't her best. She's a dumb, ignorant loser. Okay. Oh my God. So funny. Podcasters always have to be on. You can literally tell people, hi, I'm mid-mental breakdown. Sorry if this explanation of free will isn't my best. And they will literally be like, I will be disregarding that you are a person. I want my content, bitch. Like, so anyway, so I took a break after that episode. I knew either now I'm done or I'm going to slowly phase out. But that week break was insanely good for me. I hadn't taken off really any time from Mormon Stories to not think about work, because there's always something that needs to be done, or someone needs something from me, right? So it's that old, you pick up one end of the stick and you pick up the other one too. And the other end of that stick just never sleeps. So when I was actually able to have space from it, put the stick down, my mind felt so clear, and I didn't realize how much I wasn't seeing my kids, not like just spending time with them, but like seeing them and having bandwidth for them. So we had some board meetings. We talked some things through, and then more time and space I got from the podcast, the more I just loathed the idea of going back, and I put out a number of what I would need to be paid to do it. Actually knowing full well that it wasn't even like, what's my sanity worth? So I don't want to do it. John wants a different podcast than what I bring to it. In some ways he wants the same things, but in some ways he wants different things, and that's totally his call to make, and that's cool. So I put out a number of what it would take to kill all of my ambitions for what I feel like I want to do on my own. So just all of these dreams and fantasies that I've been putting on hold to do 8-hour Mormon Stories, Faith Crisis interviews, which I love and which I'm honored to do and that I was able to do for the last year. I will never downplay how amazing that is and that opportunity. But knowing that even if they said yes to the number, knowing that they wouldn't say yes, like cold day in hell before they would say yes to the number that I gave them. But kind of putting it out there as like a token of goodwill, like trying to say like my heart's still in it. So I think I make better content. We make better content when I'm there. I think I appeal to a younger audience. I think more women connect with me and more people listen to it because I'm there. And so, more people, maybe I hope get more out of the podcast because I'm there, and I was kind of willing to keep going for that reason. But it's hard. So it's not just a money issue. Like, I have other things more in my lane that I could be doing. So I love John. I pity him that he has to do the crappiest job sometimes. It's not fit for human consumption to do. So go easy on him. This week is delicate. He's got some tender family things going on. So please, everyone, please support everything to do with Mormon Stories, and watch the content if you enjoy the content. So I hope everyone will still support the work they do. Jen Camp took over a lot of the responsibilities that I had. So if she's ever on air, just know she's doing an amazing job. Please love her. Please love Gerardo and any other producers or faces on the podcast that you see that aren't mine. Give them your love, your best compliments. Don't give them any flack. They are sensational human beings, and I'm just really grateful for everything Mormon Stories brought into my life. I have something emotional, but like I have so much love in my life. Mormon Stories has brought into my life. I have more love than I know what to do with. Like, I can't even count the number of guests that have come into my life because of Mormon Stories that have become friends of mine. I'm friends with John Larson now. What is my life? So I think I will be doing a lot of cool stuff on my YouTube and on my Patreon next, and I have no complaints with life, and I just feel enveloped in love and gratitude. And if I can find a space to podcast and people want to support that, that's cool. My heart just aches for my friends and the people that I met on the podcast, and I'd be so sad if I, for any reason, I'm going to miss out on meeting any more amazing people, helping different perspectives be told. It's like this water cycle where people come on to be interviewed, and I get so much from it, and I'm able to then share their wisdom and be a better podcaster and things. So any way that I think I can provide good value to the Mormon, ex-Mormon community, I want to do that. So I think of Laura Schnell that came into my life through the podcast, Lena and Sal, Lauren Rogers, Margie DeLynn, who is a sweet, sweet angel descended from above, who every moment I spend with is a blessing. McKay Spartacus, Jordan and McKay, Matt Easton. Oh my God, Maddie. I can't even name everybody that I've met through the podcast. The Lang family. Oh, so many others. There's just so many stories out there that deserve to be told. And I mean, John and I would get 3 offers a day at minimum. There's so many good stories to be told, and I'd be sad if I wasn't able to be part of a vehicle to be able to tell just more really good stories. So maybe I can figure out a way to keep doing that if the support is there. I'm already really proud of so many people coming through on my Patreon, and my merch store on Redbubble is also a great way to support me financially too, as I make content. So if you find value in that, I am just grateful that people find value in what I'm doing and I get to keep doing it. And if it validates them and it validates you and helps you leave a legitimate cult, then just keep expecting bigger, funnier, hoier things from here on out. All right. Love you guys. Thanks for watching.